How's it going, everyone? J-Star here, and welcome to the newest season of Pokemon Horizons episodes reviews. That's right, the newest season of Pokemon is here, Pokemon Horizon, and with it we have got two new characters, Liko and Roy. In today's episode, we'll be set around Liko and her introduction to the anime. One thing I will say about this episode, I thought it was pretty good. It was a pretty good first episode to introduce these characters to us. But before we begin, I do want to say that I've never played Pokemon Scarlet or Violet, so some of the characters and some of the names and Pokemon names in this, I may pronounce a little bit wrong, so I do apologise for that before we get into it. I am looking to play it soon, so hopefully I should be able to pronounce the names soon. But with that being said, let's jump into today's episode review. So the episode opens up with Liko, our newest character, our new protagonist, who is getting on a bus to head to school for her first day. It's her first day at this school as she has just moved to the Kanto region from Pelada. And this school that she's heading to is a boarding school, which basically means they sleep over at the school. Once she arrives at the school, she heads to her room and she meets her roommate, known as Anne. Anne is a very bubbly, happy, reckless type of character, which is good since Liko is more shy and nervous around people. Once they introduce themselves, they then go to some lessons where they learn about Pokemon, they activate the Pokédex through a Rotom phone, and then they finally get to meet their very first Pokemon. Anne goes for Oshawott, who will be her first Pokemon, while Liko gets a Sprigatito. But this Sprigatito isn't too sure about Liko and scratches her and runs away. But throughout the episode, they have a bonding moment. I think Sprigatito is just confident and wants to do things its way, while Liko is very shy and nervous. But they do bond throughout the episode. We also find out that Liko has a special pendant from her grandmother, and it's more of a good luck charm, but she keeps it in a box under the bed. We then find out there are three people looking for Liko, Oreo, Murdoch and Molly, but we don't really know much about them and much about why they're looking for Liko. Throughout this episode, a lot of time passes. They go from, Liko very first getting to school and then learning more about the school, learning more about Sprigatito, and finally they go on their first proper break. I'm guessing this is more like a half term or an Easter holiday or summer vacation or something like that. Because Anne gets on the bus and heads home, while Liko says that her mum and dad are going to be too busy and she'll stay at school. We then meet another man who is also looking for Liko, and he is called Amethio. And we find out he is after the pendant. Amethio ends up meeting Liko and says her grandmother sent him to get the pendant back. Liko is a bit unsure about this, as is Sprigatito, and they end up running away from this man. Although the man has backup, and Liko and Sprigatito get into their very first Pokemon battle against a Rhyhorn, and somehow end up beating it. They then run away and head to the roof. However, their path is blocked by Amethio, who brings out a Ceruledge. Now, again, I know nothing about this Pokemon, but it looks pretty cool. It looks a bit like a Scizor or a Scyther, just with lots of armor on. Looks pretty cool in my opinion. But before Ceruledge can launch any proper attacks, a man comes down from the sky on a Charizard. Professor Friday, the Pokemon Professor, Charizard and Ceruledge then get into a heated battle, launch some attacks at each other until Ceruledge fires a Psycho Cutter towards Charizard. However, it misses Charizard, it misses the Professor, it heads straight for Liko and Sprigatito. But before the move can land, the pendant activates and a shield comes all around Liko and Sprigatito. And that is where the episode ended. So there we go, that is the very first episode of this newest version of the anime done, and the very first episode, and I thought, again, it was a pretty decent episode. The main point I want to talk about is obviously Liko. I do like this character. When Liko was first introduced in the poster and in the trailer, I wasn't too sure, but I think that's because I was a really big fan of Ash and Pikachu and I didn't like the change. But having watched this first episode and seeing that she is very shy, but she wants lots of friends and wants lots of Pokemon to like her, and she's just really shy and nervous and doesn't know how to do it, I do like the beginning of her character. We'll have to see how it progresses, whether she'll be a challenger and wants to take on gym leaders. I know that Roy is going to be in this, whether he'll be the one to take on the gym leaders, and we'll see what Liko does in the future with her journey. But I do like the introduction to her character. I think Sprigatito is a good match, how Sprigatito's a lot more confident than her. I think they'll bounce off each other quite well. So I think the rating I'm going to give this episode is a 10 out of 10. It had a great way of introducing these new characters to us, and yeah, I'm excited to see what's going to come up in the future. But anyway, I think that's where I'm going to end this episode off. Thank you so much for watching this very first episode. Hit that thumbs up button if you want me to continue these. Comment down below in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts on Liko and Sprigatito. Let me know your thoughts as well on this episode and the start of the new anime. And finally, subscribe to the channel if you are new. And I'll see you next week with the next one.